if we want the respect of black women, if we really want our sisters to honor and respect us as the kings we are, we only got to do one thing. One thing will get you the respect of every black woman in America. Take back your neighborhood from our sons that we did not raise.
Recently, Dr. Umar Johnson gave somewhat of a talk in Paterson, New Jersey on Juneteenth. And one of the topics that he dealt with was black mothers destroying black boys. And of course, this is very interesting because he has a podcast going viral on the Daily Wrap-Up Crew. And part of that podcast was about the responsibility that black men have when it comes to black women making bad decisions. And I want to play a particular excerpt of that podcast, and I'll come back.
And my black mothers, I want to thank my single black mothers because you've done a great job taking care of our children, given the war against black males. So fellas, give all the black mothers a hand. They not perfect, but without them, things would be 100 times worse. Black mothers are not perfect, but without them, things would be 100 times worse. But here's what I want to say to my black mothers. Some of you doing a great job raising your daughter and a horrible job raising your son. Some of you are spoiling your sons beyond repair. You are destroying that boy because you're giving him nothing but love, and you're spoiling him with no discipline, no accountability, and no responsibility. In other words, when a black woman says, I can't find a good black man, when a black woman says, I can't find a good black man, next time you say that, I want you to look at the sister to your right. Because the problem is sisters are destroying their sons for somebody else's daughter later in life. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real.
Now, where he's at there is very clear. What he's saying is black men need to be very patient with sisters for the various reasons. And, hey, the black woman makes bad decisions because of you. Now, if that is the case, then we would never need the whole black woman accountable because it would all be black men's fault, right? And now I want to talk about this though, because this is very interesting. And he addresses black women distinctly in this particular excerpt that I want to play right here.
Over here, I want to say this to us though. Because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest. The black woman has had to hold down the black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of black males began in the 1970s. You understand me? Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now. And it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down. Or when you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be your man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back. I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that. And then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course she's going to end up with a poor mate. And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need.
So Dr. Umar Johnson says, black women, you're doing an excellent job raising your daughters, but your sons are no good. Now that's very interesting. And I'm not going to say excellent, but he's saying your daughters are able to go out and work and provide. Again, that's that, masculine attitude that a lot of black men are complaining about. So Dr. Umar Johnson is sort of neglecting black men's position on that. Black men would say, hey, no, those daughters that are being raised are definitely not good for marriage, right? It's because of the women that are raising them. But when it comes to the sons, he makes a strong point, which I can't disagree with, is that you're destroying, your sons are no good, okay? Your sons are no good right? Now, your sons also are gonna be destroying the lives of other women. And I agree, I've seen it. I lived in a community where I saw it happen all the time. But if that is the case, and I'm not trying to blame black women for everything or even black men, how do you expect that these young black men, if they're mothers, and we don't know if, hey, they wanted to be married, not every black woman wants to be married. We got to look at that. A lot of black women don't want to be in a 2-parent household. I'm not saying that all, but you have a lot of black women who are completely okay with that. If they raise some young men who will go out and destroy the lives of other women, then we come back and then we blame black men for that. And I want to just say this, me as a young man coming up, I had a chance to see somewhat of a strong father, right? And my father had some issues I talked about, but I had a strong grandfather. I had, men in my life that I was able to look at and to model myself after. And I do appreciate, my grandfather and my father being there. But if these young men don't have that, then how do you expect that these young men are going to become somebody, right? But this is something that he asked towards the end, and this was directed at black men, which is a very interesting point. Let's play that clip.
I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. ADHD really stands for ain't no daddy at home disorder. So I'm making every black man in Patterson, New Jersey accountable. Listen to me, brothers. I don't care how many biological sons you have of your own. I don't care how many biological sons you have of your own. Every black man in Patterson should be responsible for 2 of your non-biological sons under the age of 18 who don't have their father in their life. I'm sick and tired of black men watch black women struggle with our children. I'm sick and tired of watching black men walk past black mothers struggling to raise our sons, and we do not offer any help, any support, any intervention. If we want the respect of black women, if we really want our sisters to honor and respect us as the kings we are, we only got to do one thing. One thing will get you the respect of every black woman in America. Take back your neighborhood from our sons that we did not raise.
So he's saying in this clip that you black men need to go out in the community and adopt these young kids or take these young black men who are out here without a father and pretty much raise them, because you guys are leaving these black women out to suffer and die by themselves. I won't say die rather, but suffer out there by themselves, out by themselves, and not producing any of these, young men that could be leaders or resourceful for the black community. And then he ends that clip of saying, if you black men want respect from black women, this is how you get it. And I think that's where Dr. Umar Johnson is clueless. A lot of these black men grew up hearing, we don't need you. We don't really care about you. We are doing better than you. And once you keep hearing that, you don't really care about how those women feel about you. You just don't care. You turn a blind eye to it. So when black men see a lot of these black women struggling, they feel like, number one, what does that have to do with me? And what is the incentive for me to sacrifice for this when if I do that, she's going to continue to do that anyway? And that's the problem. Like, if these black men were to do that, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it because I'm a pro-black. I would definitely, though in my mindset, if I lived in Patterson, I would be one of the brothers out there teaching the young boys. I'd be out there helping. I'm going to say it, I would, right? And there have been times in my career where I would not do that, especially here on YouTube. I would admit that. But after thinking about it, me as a pro-black, that is my calling and my duty, me personally. But everybody don't think like me. And I have learned that the black community is without incentives, okay? If women are gonna be allowed to do whatever they wanna do, somebody's gonna come in and grab these young men and keep training them. They'll keep on doing what they've been doing because it can't be punished. And a lot of black men are saying, listen, I'm not taking care of nothing that's not my responsibility. I've already been talked down to. I've already been humiliated by. I've already had people talk bad about me. Listen, I don't want anything to do and don't care what they have to say about me at all. I don't want nothing to do with them. And Dr. Umar Johnson is not giving an incentive for black men to want to come back and do that in the community. Number one, it needs to not even be about getting black women's respect, because that won't get it, okay? If black men in the black community are gonna do anything to earn black women's respect, nothing's gonna change. Black men have to see the value in the black community for them. They need to see an economic opportunity. They need to say an appreciation opportunity. They need to be able to see certain things, whatever it may yield for them, as to why they need to, and it needs to be personal to them, and it could be tied to their faith or whatever. Black men should want to be in the black community because it benefits them. Then after that, they can come in and provide opportunities for somebody else, but they can't do it looking for women's respect. That's not good enough. Black men are not concerned about how black women feel about them in today's age. That's the truth. Black men have completely gone distant. That's why you see so many brothers. If you see even a lot of men, you see women being attacked on subways. A lot of guys turn a blind eye to that. They don't care. So the reason is black men have no empathy or sympathy for the most part of women they don't know anymore. And that is because the respect has been lost. So we have to have another reason and an incentive as to why our black men need to be back. In the way that Dr. Umar speaks about it like that, this is not what's gonna do it. I'm sorry. As a brother who is a pro-black, as a brother who is a Pan-African, as a brother that black men are looking at the best options right now. And the black community is still an option for anybody that's black. But we need to have a different conversation as to why black men need to be in the black community, and gaining women's respect will never get it from black men. I'm telling you, that's not what they're looking for anymore. I think a lot of brothers felt like they've tried it and it was not worth it. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all the news, subscribe to the bell. I'm out.